Good. Okay. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Jim. I will be leading our user group webinar here today, where we will be discussing importing donations from an electronic fund transfer service. We will be spending approximately the next 20 minutes discussing the topic. So just enough to kind of touch on some of the functionality in the Church Windows program regarding that. We're not going to go into a great deal of detail with the separate services and kind of how they work on that end, focusing more about how the import function works in the Church Windows program. So before we get started on all of this, however, again, my name's Jim. I'm coming to you live on a sunny day here in Columbus, Ohio. You are going to have on your screen a GoToWebinar control panel that you can either minimize or maximize using the red button with the little arrow icon in it. You can minimize that control panel to give yourself a little bit more room on your monitor to see the video from the presentation that we'll be having here today. You can maximize that control panel to get access to the different functions therein, including the questions section there. I am joined here today by Miss Marla Becker. She will be manning the questions for me so I can focus on kind of what we're talking about for our webinar here today. I would recommend keeping your questions general in terms of the functionality of importing donations into Church Windows. If you have specific questions about your church or your situation there, I would direct those to our support line number, which is our 800 number, which is at 800-533-5227. And one of our friendly and helpful support technicians, or perhaps me, will be glad to help you with any specific questions you have with this. Okay, cool. So let's talk about importing donations into the Church Windows program. There are a number of companies that can do electronic file transfers for you. So step one with using this feature in the Church Windows program is researching those different companies, deciding how you're going to do it, and signing up with them basically. We have a number of companies that we kind of have pre-formatted our program to be able to interact with their files. Let me go ahead and show you some of those that we already have. I'm going to go ahead and launch the donations module by clicking on the button on our portal window here. Importing donations, and we're going to talk more about this in a little bit, is done by clicking on the appropriately enough import donations button up here at the top. That was a terrible square I just drew. But I just wanted to show you that we do have a number of companies we've kind of already contacted, and we've formatted Church Windows to be able to interact with their files that they provide their clients. So you see that list here. The example that we are going to be using for our webinar here today is going to be the Vanco format. So that's one of the companies that you can contact and sign up with those guys. The way this works is it sets it up as a direct deposit type of situation. So folks can sign up with Vanco after, or whatever company, after your church has as well, and they can set up direct deposits into your bank account. Is basically the way that works, and you receive files. You receive communications from that company letting you know a listing of all of the direct deposits you've gotten in a particular time period, like on a weekly basis, for example. And then you can save that file to your computer, point the Church Windows program at that file, and just with a couple clicks of your mouse button, you can import all of that information into the Church Windows program. So we're going to be talking about doing that here today. A couple of pointers about the way you may want to handle when you receive the file from the other company, from the company that you have signed up with. Let's see, let me make sure. Okay. What we generally recommend that you do is to create a file or a folder on your computer, and I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of what you may want to consider doing. If you go to your computer, you can browse either to your documents folder or your desktop folder. I'm just going to navigate to my local computer's C drive here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my new folder button up here at the top. And what I'm going to do is I am going to create a donations import folder right here on the root of my C drive, so that when I receive these emails with these files that I get from that company, I'm going to save my files directly here into my donations import folder so that I'm able to find them easily from the Church Windows program. So again, you can do this on the root of your C drive the way I did. I just clicked on my little yellow folder icon at the bottom of my screen here, which is the Windows Explorer screen, and I browsed to my C drive. I created a new donations import. You could do that into your downloads page, into your My Documents page, wherever you'd like to. So at that point, you may receive an email or be able to download a file from the company. And I'm going to show you an example of what one of these files may look like. And it's a generic text file the majority of the time. It's going to look a little bit nonsensical like this. And oftentimes what you're going to get from the company that you signed up with is basically a map that is going to tell you a particular number belongs to this individual, a particular number belongs to this particular giving account. I'm going to show you, once you've seen that document, how to set that up in the Church Windows program in just a moment. But if you do receive this file, I'm going to go ahead and go to my File menu, and I'm going to go to my Save As option on that menu so that I can save this file over here to my C drive under my Donations Import folder. So I'm saving this here. I am going to call this 04/20/2014. The date of the gifts in this file that I'm using, unfortunately, are back in 2014. But so I'm going to name that file after the date of the batch that we're going to be importing. I'm calling it EFT, so 04/20/2014 EFT. I'm going to save that file. Now in my donations import folder, we'll have that file. This is the file we're going to use to import into the Church Windows program. And you do it by coming into donations, clicking on your import donations button, selecting the company that you're importing the file for. If that particular company is not listed on this drop-down list, you can usually use this text file option listed right here and format your own sort of the way that's going to work with Church Windows. I'm going to show that to you in just a moment. But for the example that we're going to start with here, I'm going to go ahead and use Vanco. So when you click here, it takes you into your Import Donations window. From here, you will use the Select Import File button in the upper left-hand corner right here to browse to the location where you have saved your file. So when I click on Select Import File, I'm going to go ahead and browse to my C drive, go to the Donations Import folder that I created, and you'll see that file that you saved from your email. You can verify the date from the name of the file that you created. Double clicking on that, it took us to the unmatched items from import tab first, but I wanted to show you that if I come back to the imported donations tab here, it's going to show you the dates of the gifts that are included in that file. If you expand the dates by clicking on the little plus button over here to the left, it's going to show you all of the individual gifts that are in the system. You'll notice that we have an unmatched giver here. I'm going to show you how to correct that in a moment. And you can expand any of the dates that you have in your file. So if you do have some unmatched items, if I come over here, notice here you've got an ID number. This is what I was talking about. Whenever a new member of your church signs up to do direct deposit with whatever company you're working with, usually you're going to get an email from those folks. It'll say Mary Smith ID of whatever, and that will allow you to then in the church Windows program map that ID to whoever it is in your system. So under the unmatched items, you'll see that listed here. Underneath the box where it says giver, this is a search box. You can type in the last name of the person whose that ID belongs to, and you can link it to that person on this screen. So now that I've linked that ID to Jan Adams, if I now come back to the, my mistake. There is a Save Account Matches button at the bottom here that you should click. Fortunately, the program is smart enough to make sure that you do want to save it. So here's the Save Account Matches button at the bottom here. So yes, I would like to save my changes. It brings me back to my Imported Donations tab. If I click on the little plus, that unmatched givers now belongs to Jan Adams. Also on here, because we've already pointed our program at that particular file, it'll give you the message now that all items have been matched. When you first start using this feature with a particular company, you can start by coming to the Setup Givers tab here. And this screen allows you to, it's going to show you a list of everybody in your database under the Giver column on the left, and their Vanco customer number is listed down the right side. So if there are new folks who sign up, you don't necessarily have to wait until you get a file to import first. You can come directly to the Setup Giver screen. You can draw your map for how the company that you're using identifies these folks to the people in your database here. The same thing will need to be done for your giving accounts here on your Setup Giving Accounts tab. So you will now see a list of all of your giving accounts that you have in Church Windows listed here down the left, and the way that they are identified by the company on the right. Cool. Now, once you've got everybody set up and everybody is matched for your particular file, you come back to your Imported Donations tab. And in order to take all of these gifts from this file, all you do is you click on your Create Donations button in the upper right-hand corner right here. That button there. And it's going to take you into this window, the Imported Batches button here, with a list of all of the available imported batches. We already had one from 2016 that we didn't import from before somehow. But from the file I'm looking at here, I'm going to select the 4/20/2014 date. Again, if you wish, you can expand it by clicking on the little plus, and it will show you all the details. Notice that each of these gifts will be marked under payment method as an EFT. transaction. You have the option from this window to print your batch report by clicking on the print batch button right here. And it will give you, let's go ahead and take a look at the print preview for this. It'll give you all of the gifts in your batch there. So this can be your batch report from the electronic file transfer that you're doing. Notice at the top, just that at this point it is still an unposted batch. It lists that at the top of the report. Okay. So that's the batch report you can do. Once you're ready to rumble, if everything looks correct on there, you simply click the post batch button at the bottom of the imported batches window. And it's going to go ahead and post that into your system. And you can do that for any of the batches you have here under the imported batches window. The original file that I used also included this 425 date, so I'm going to go ahead and print that. I'm going to go ahead and post that one as well. If I wanted to, I could click my print batch button to get my batch report for that one. And when you're ready to rumble, you go ahead and click on post batch there. The note here is that that falls on a non-Sunday date. Do you sure you want to post it? Yes or no? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And it will post that one as well. Okay. Once you have posted those batches that you've imported from your file, if you chose to at this point, if you do own your accounting module and you do transfers from donations over to accounting, you do have to then go to take your second step to perform your transfer from donations into accounting. So I'll go ahead and click on my transfer to accounting button here. We don't see them on here because, again, I didn't notice until 5 minutes before the webinar that those are from the 2014 year. So I'm going to roll this back to 2014. And now we see our batches that we just imported. Once you, again, you can print your batch reports from this window. This is the report that actually shows you not only what you're doing in the donations module, but also what it's affecting over in the accounting module. So that this report here is the one that also shows what's debited and what's credited over in accounting as well. Okay. But then to perform your transfer over to accounting, you simply, underneath the transfer column on the right side, you click your post button. Here's your transfer column. There's our post button. Clicking on post is now going to transfer that over into the accounting module. It'll show you what it's going to do here. What's debited, what's credited over in your accounting module. There you go. I'll go ahead and transfer the other one as well. Okay. That's basically it. It is here in the program to save you a whole heck of a lot of extra clicking in the program so that you don't have to go in and enter an entire batch yourself. If it's recorded as an electronic file transfer, simply save the file to your computer, click your import donations button, and that avoids you having to manually post all of those individual transactions into your donations module right here under import donations. I also did want to point out that I mentioned I was going to show you this text file screen here. This one is the one that allows you to create your own format. So whatever company that you also sign up with will give you this information. So whenever you import a file from a particular company, whatever The column for date field is going to have a title from that company. Same with the giver field, the amount field, and the account field. Whether that is a tab delimited or a comma delimited file, you can change that right here. But this is going to be the titles of these columns in the document you're going to be receiving from that other company. This is a flexible screen, and you can, the vast majority of the time, get this to match up with the import files you can sign up with for any particular company. And again, you'll see the setup givers, you'll see the setup giving accounts tab to set all that up once you're ready to draw your maps from how it's identified by the other company to how Church Windows is going to see it in your own database. Okay. Suggestion to show adding a batch code as it is posted. If we do this, I guess I'm missing where that's done. Oh, okay. Thank you. This is a common thing that a lot of folks like to do when you're importing donations, and my mistake for missing this earlier, my apologies. When you are on your imported batches window, there is a batch code column here. And a lot of folk, and what batch codes are here for are to separate gifts that are posted with the same date. So if you do post electronic file transfers, imported donations like this with a Sunday date, and you want to be able to report on them separately from the gifts that you received at the church itself, you may want to create a batch code that allows you to report on it separately. So in this case, for imported batches, we do have this batch code right here, this EFT batch code right here for online donations. So you can set up a batch code to kind of have that be linked in with the donations that you've imported. Thank you for the suggestion. Cool. All right. So, it's a reporting tool, the batch codes. That's all the time I have. Actually, time flew on me there, so I apologize about that. That's basically all I've got to show you here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are all set to go, feel free to click on the X in the upper right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar control panel. If you're out of here to get on with your day, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely afternoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the room open for a little bit. If you have any questions, if I mess something up, or if you have another question for us, feel free to go ahead and type that into the questions box now. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We're going to be open just a little bit longer here.